Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Opus Magnum with Lyte. Today, we're looking at golden thread, yet another interesting infinite product problem. And, well, like all infinite product problems, there are certain workflows that get you towards your optimal solutions. First off, just finish the problem. And that's what we're doing here with push. The most straightforward way to solve an infinite product is to assemble it and then push it onto the exit. And here we assemble the salt, we assemble the gold onto it, and then we push it through. It's very simple, very straightforward. You just keep things out of the way until you need them, and then pile it all back. And then we fast forward a bit, and then I will highlight an important thing for future solutions. That we see here, this is how we ended our chain, with a gold on the end. Now, do we need that gold? Are you certain whether or not we need that gold for it to be finished? Because here we are, well, let me show you this, that you've got an ellipsis here, and you've got little bonds going into it. Do you need them? Or not? Given the way I'm asking, you'd be like, oh yeah, I totally need them. Or, I don't trust you, Lyte. I don't think we need them. And so, maybe we should check. Do you really need those? And so we move on to our opposite solution, where instead of building the gold first, we build the gold last. And so we have a gold last solution. And then we fast forward because it's pretty much assembling it the same way. The same layout, just up top instead of off to the side. I think it saves 1, maybe 2 hexes. And then the question becomes, will this be done next time or the time after? And well, if you see the product list, it says 5 of 6, and we know it will be done now. You do not need to fill this last thing. And thus, we... actually, let's get to that ending again. Because right now, we are not using this hex right here. You will automatically use the ellipsis hex. However, once we get here, we have finished the product, and we still have not used this hex. If you put the gold on the end, you will use this hex. And so you end up saving a tiny bit of area by not having the gold on the end. So you not only save it back here, where it was truly wasteful, but also up here where it's a little bit questionable. And that's pretty darn cool. And gives you a nice way of saving just that tiny little bit of area at the end. So not only do we save this one here, but we save a little bit on the track that we dealt with up here. Instead of using these 4 pieces of track, we use just 2. So by taking out 2 pieces of track and that 1 hex right there, we managed to go from 57 down to 54, which is below the top percentile. Not certain it's optimal, but you can be relatively confident. Because there are a lot of directions that we need bonds. And so if you try to do too much compression with this, you'll end up either attaching things too early or running into the previous product or any number of shenanigans. So if this were to be compressed any more than it already is, it would most likely go down by 3. But I'm not sure that's possible. So if you've managed to do it, feel free to let us all know. down in the comments over on Twitter or on Discord. So that's our nice small solution. When trying to do it cheaply, well, you try to do it with an arm and our good friend, the binder. Now, with the piston, you have a lot of power for solving it with no shimmying about. Just stay in place, move it along, keep yourself static. And so, we've got ourselves a relatively cheap solution. But as always, if you're using a piston, you're probably not as cheap as possible. So last episode, or the last time I tried to record it, let me say that way, OBS ate my recording. I tried to record it, and on camera, I did this 40G solution. Because I had forgotten that I did it with just a piston. I'm like, oh yeah, you can totally do it with an arm and a piston, or an arm and a track. Let's do it. And then OBS ate my recording. It's gone now. So you just get to see, nom nom, the lovely arm and track solution. I left this front part for attaching the ending to the beginning, and then I just never moved it back. But it's a fairly short program now. So we can just select all of it, and then move it over here. And so now it grabs things and it shimmies about. And builds a solution, one link of the chain at a time. So the question becomes, would you be able to do this solution without the track? Can you just use an arm? Save yourself 10 Gs, get it down to 30. I'm fairly certain you can't. For a couple of reasons. With these severe angles, it becomes very difficult to work with just a length one arm. Because you would need to shimmy this thing about to be able to shift it around. And it just seems improbable. But it is worth investigating. So I'm going to do another investigation like we did last episode, where we just look into where is the problem. Is it reattaching it for the next iteration? Is it when trying to do one of these golds? Where is the problem? And so we start up a new solution, open it up, and think about what we need. Well, we need a length one arm, because any longer and you're not going to be able to use the binder properly. We're going to put the binder down here because we need to have the product here. Because we can't rotate an infinite product. It has to be going out to the right. Okay, so we've got that. We need a gold somewhere. And we need a salt somewhere. Okay. We'll reset to the salt because there's too many of them. And then I suppose we start building. Do we build gold first or salt first? I don't know. I've done gold first for most of the solutions, so let's do gold first. So we're going to end with our solution probably pointing down this way. Such that we can then just grab the gold, move it here, and just have that be where it registers our solution at the beginning of the next cycle. So we'll put the gold here. It'll attach there. And then we would need to move it one further and rotate it twice this way. Such that what was... let's see, which way will it be facing? Because it would have been facing this way. By rotating it one more, it'll be facing this way. We bring it back 2 to add the last bond. we send it out that way by 1, such that it's here. We rotate left 1, such that it's on the exit. Okay? Now, we try to continue it. If we try to continue it, we would need to have the gold here. Oh, problem. The salt would end up on top of this. Is there some other direction we could do? Well, we're going to have to bring the salt from the right anyway, so we move the salt, or the gold, over here, and the product is pointing this way. Okay, that we can handle. I think we can handle that. Problem then becomes when we need to put the salt on that side. We'd have the gold here and the product pointing where? This way? That seems problematic, to say the least. We would have to turn it all the way around to be able to do it. Or have the gold here somehow get the salt to the other side, and then it would be hitting here. So, all in all, it seems unlikely to be possible. Very unlikely to be possible, but if you've got a 30G solution, I would love to see it, because there's some sort of magical wrangling that's going to have to go on to be able to attach the salts to the gold. And to the product. Yeah. Too much magical wrangling for me to be able to just build it on this episode. So if you've got a version that's 30 Gs, just uses an arm, ooh-wee, would everybody love to see it. So we've got cheap. We've got small. Let's go for fast. So when working with fast, we need to remember the lessons of our small solution. If you go gold first, you're going to be wasting time. Because in this particular case, you'll end up with more salts over here than you need. Now, if you pushed it further, sure, you'd be able to skip that cycle and you'd be fine. Or you could just do the gold last. And so instead, we bring the gold onto the exit, and you got yourself a significantly faster solution because you cut a whole trip through the instructions. And so what was 61 becomes 53, a fairly sizable reduction, because you only produce as much salt as you need. But if you look at it, it takes a long trip to get to where it's going. So that's 5 sets of things in play. So we have a grab, move. Right, we need 4 salt, so that's 3 of the 4 in play. So now we start counting. Grab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what we're trying to reduce. We're pulling the salt as often as possible. We're not wasting any salt for the final thing, but we count up to 6. So we are certainly not going to be able to do any better than 49, because you always have move drop. That is certainly the best you're ever going to be able to do. So we had 6 here. You're always going to need at least 2 of those. So we reduce it by 4 and get down to 49 eventually. But before then, we use a standard method for cutting back on cyclage in an infinite product, and that's instead of pushing it onto the exit, we twist it onto the exit. So instead of taking a couple of steps onto the exit, you take just 1. And so you get that back and forth shabam, shabam that helps to alleviate some of the stress of pushing it onto the exit. But as always, you want to take a look at how far your last reagent takes from the beginning to the end. So we've created 1, 2, 3, and so now we count again. Grab 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You could have known that from here. We had 6. We reduced the cyclage by 2, so it's down to 4. But we're going to try to get down to 2 or 3. Because that's generally what you can expect with this sort of solution. Well, how do you do that? So in the formation of this product, this is what you've got. You've got something that needs to attach to the infinite product. You've got angled bonds, which you can do in one single action. And so what you're going to need to do is pick one of these salts and bind both ways at the same time, and then twist it into the exit. That's what we need. And that's what happens with our good friend Quick Swing here. So we pull one in, and it's actually going up to the infinite product right at the beginning. It's getting all the way out front to be attached to the product. We bring in number 2, but then at the same time, we bring in number 3 and the gold. Such that we've got this entire part right here already done. All it needs is to be bound into the product. And then we need this guy right here to be the last one. It'll come from here, bound in on this multi-binder, and then twisted to the exit. So grab 1, 2. Then all we need is to move the infinite product into position for the next little bit. And all we need to do for that is twist. And so this guy comes up and gets attached to it in 1, 2. It can take its time. It's waiting on 3 other salts to be made. It's got plenty of time to do what it needs. And it actually sits there for a second for the sake of lining up with all of the other things that need to happen. Because it can't really start moving down until after this segment is made. And so we move this segment out of the way, and we start moving this down into position. If we moved it right away, it could cause some problems. And so we just wait. There's no hurry. We move it into position the same time everything else is. Ka-snap. And then that last salt is already grabbed, so it quickly moves into the exit. And that's how we make this thing work. Nice and quick. And given all it's doing is being pulled out and then dropped into the bin, you're not going to do better than 49. However, you might be able to make it smaller, and you might be able to make it cheaper. I have faith in the ingenuity of you crazy, crazy people out there to make surprisingly compact versions of things this fast, because there's a lot of wasted space in here. You've got a couple of extra arms doing things that you might not need them to. You've got a lot of extra track going on. You've got 3 binders. You might be able to get away with fewer. And so don't be dissuaded by the fact that it's as fast as possible. You could make it an objectively better solution by cutting out some parts, by shrinking it down a bit whenever possible. And so you notice that pretty much all of these arms are larger than size 1. Do they need to be? I don't know. I think so because of the positioning of these and swinging from here to there to there. But then again, maybe you don't even need this binder if you only swing at a shorter distance. There are a lot of things to think about when trying to shrink these things down. I haven't really made a serious push for making a fast solution smaller or cheaper. But there are some people who have, and I think it's really awesome. So if you're one of those people, feel free to share your results because, well, what you do is awesome. And the places to do that again are down in the comments over on Twitter or on my Discord. Links in the doobly-doo. And I will see you in the next episode of Opus Magnum with Lyte.